All right. What's going on, family? It's good to see everybody that's up in here. I love you guys. I haven't seen you in a week, man. I feel like it's been 3 or 4 weeks. So ready to rock and roll, ready to give you another blast on a good show, man. Ready to give you some understanding as we gain understanding as well as we talk to you. So, welcome to the Eye Opener Tuesday show from One Blood Movement to Unity. It's a blessing always. It's a blessing always, man. You guys are so wonderful. You're always communicating with us and you're always saying great things. And the ones that do say negative things, I appreciate you too because you're the ones that motivate me to push it even harder and to go even harder to bring understanding to all of what we do. So before I really get into it and make sure you know what the show is about, I want to bring in always my Miss Addie Truth. That is like Mama added to me, y'all. Such a blessing to have you. You want to say a few words before we go?
Oh, it is always a blessing to be here. As they say, it's better to be seen and not viewed. So I just
Amen.
appreciate just being in the number.
Amen. Amen. We have another special guest on too, y'all. We got Miss Marsha McLean. Hey, you want to tell me who you are real quick before we get into this?
Absolutely. So, my name is Marsha McLean. I am a local therapist in the Cary area. I am a licensed clinical mental health counselor. I also am licensed in the Virginia area. I specialize with mental health, depression, anxiety, bipolar, as well as a specialty in addictions. And thank you so much for having me. I look forward to this discussion.
Amen. I thank you for coming on. Thank you for accepting the challenges to say. No, I'm just messing with
Absolutely.
it. But look, guys, look, this is what the One Blood Moon of Unity I Open the Tuesday show is all about. It's about really conversation, making sure we bring some understanding to what we are trying to understand in our lives. There's a lot going on in the world, and I like to compare the show with saying we talk about the elephant in the room. There's two scenarios that I use to make sure we get an understanding of it. So when you have that good old conversation inside your home and those four walls, and you're at the round table and it doesn't go outside those four walls, it's just in the four walls between those two, three, four, how many of your family members are and that are having that conversation. It never leaves them four walls. That's the
Hmm.
same thing that happens at church. When you go get blessed, you get ministered to, you get your scriptures, you get all that good stuff, and as soon as you hit outside that wall, that's it. You never give it to anyone else for understanding. You never give it to anyone else. You never disciple it out and try to bring people into understanding. And that happens inside homes as well. So the elephant in the room is what this show is about, to bring you understanding and to groom some understanding and to really just grow us in a different format. We're always at a state of mind of saying, this is just the way I feel. And then you leave it at that. And we never go to the other side and say, well, how do you feel? Another way I like to compare it is I've been married for 19, coming up on 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Been close to divorce. Have been right there at the door of the courthouse, get ready to divorce and everything. Took the rings off, as if that matters. You're still married, but I don't. That's just what we do when we get mad with each other and all that good stuff. But anyway, when you get to that point and you have a spouse, sometimes you come home and the interaction is different. You don't want the conversation. You don't want to be bothered. But how do they know? Unless they understand you, unless you actually communicate it, unless you have a conversation. So I relate a lot of things to football and marriages. That keeps me going. It keeps my mind in an understanding mode. So now that you guys know about the show, I'm gonna bring in, man. We're gonna make this hot. We're gonna make it lovely. The question of the show, we are doing a recap from last week because we loved it, man. It was inspirational. Talking about mental health and oppression in the African American community, and it's part two. And I wanted, we always have Miss Addie because she bring in the educated history of how we get into these moods, where it stemmed from our standpoint as slavery wise, and a really good background history on it. But this week I wanted to bring in someone, add a little bit more to Miss Addie, someone who is clinical on this side and knows more about it than me, to give me a better understanding of it and help me understand and help me push it out even further to people who really need it. Now, what stemmed this conversation? Uh, this bad boy hit off when Kanye West had his breakdown,
Okay.
and I seen so many people started kicking him,
Mhm.
and that part there kind of it tweaks me when as black men, y'all know Miss Addie, I'm a black man. I'm on our men. We got to bring our men together. So it hit me and it hurt me kind of hard when I seen a lot of black men start tearing down Kanye because of his remarks about Harriet Tubman. I mean, they were way off of his, you know, the remarks that he made about Harriet Tubman. There's, if you know your history, I mean, come on, you understand it. You know that something there is not quite right. But instead of kicking the man while he's down, and I think we do that too much, especially when we have this amount of money here, and somebody else has this amount of money over there, or you just have an opinion that goes against it.
Mhm.
Well, it's okay to have an opinion that goes against your brother or your sister or your wife or your husband. But can you really sit down and be man enough or woman enough to have a conversation about it, to really get to the nitty gritty? We know there's an issue there, but are you willing to talk about the issue? Or are you just willing to say, hey, agree with everybody else and keep beating the person down? I don't agree with beating everybody down. I agree with helping people out as much as we can, when we can, and how we can. So I want to start off with Miss Adam. Will come in just a minute on you, but Miss McLean, I really want to, if you don't mind, just comment on your thoughts from your clinical standpoint of Kanye bringing that kind of conversation to what he said, and then on top of that, how it affects us as a group.
Okay. So first, Kanye is diagnosed with bipolar, and he may also have what I call an access to, just because of how he presents, very, arrogant and all these type of things. So we call those people kind of access to narcissistic or something like that. I have not had a chance to diagnose him, so I'm just throwing ideas out here. Okay, just want to put it out here, but he's in what we call a manic state. He has reported, him and his wife have reported that he doesn't really do well on medication, that it affects his creativity. So he does not like taking medication. So his symptoms are not controlled. So right now, it sounds like he's going through a manic phase, and that could go with psychosis. That's when people are saying, "I'm hearing from God," or "I'm a special angel of God," "I'm on a mission," or all these type of things. And it's a manic phase, and it can go anywhere from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, just depending on that cycle. And people need to be mindful of that. The information that I got, I believe he has bipolar 1 with manic episodes. And we have to be mindful of that because of the way he has presented all of his career in front of the cameras. People may think it's a stunt. We don't know. And people got really offended by what he said about Harriet Tubman. But think about it. Look where you went to get information from. Why are you going to be offended because he said that the man is ill? And you went there. I don't know if you went to support him or spectate, but then you're going to get offended because he said something not in his right mind. And I do think it's very unfair that the Black community is attacking him, but that's what we do. We attack what we don't understand. We rather criticize it and knock it to a side instead of saying, you know what, let's pray for this man. Let's try to figure something out, or let's just try to explain to our children what's going on. And so when they see him, they'll have a little bit more compassion. Unfortunately, that does not happen a lot in this community. And because of COVID-19, I'm not blaming everything on COVID. I think because we're so isolated, the hatefulness of people is just really coming out. People that you wouldn't even think is so nasty. It's just coming out. And if you ask them, why are you doing this? What's up with this? Well, I've been cooped up and I'm just stressed out and all that. So it's easy to attack him. If that makes sense, it's easy, but it's
Mhm.
not right.
Right, right.
So
And Miss
what you could
Addie.
do, I'm sorry, I didn't answer. What you could do is put the shut up, shut up, talk about this man. If you're a praying person, pray. Or when he get on TV, change the channel or get some understanding, because you have a crazy uncle or a crazy aunt in your family. And and you know what I'm saying? You don't want people talking and bashing them. So
Okay.
think about that crazy family member, Lord forgive. But I'm just saying. And just think about it. Get some information, okay?
Yeah. Miss Addie, you're not my crazy family member. So
I'm gonna plead the fifth on
Oh,
that.
good.
y'all know we like to have fun on this show. Miss Addie, coming from that, bringing some history from your standpoint of really why we do that as the African American community.
We have 300 years of people telling us negative things about ourselves. And while we are people who boost ourselves up to be a survivor and to be an overcomer, we have to put a positive spin on our identity. However, if you've ever heard a Negro say something like, well, you know, those Negroes do such and such and such,
Indeed.
then it is a glimpse into our bipolar mentality. And as I stated last week, with a history from slavery to Jim Crow to separate but equal and unequal, through the convict labor years and the sharecropping cheating and stealing our property, then we have to understand that every time we see one more Black person being shot down and killed in 2020, it affects us mentally. So I agree, Marsha, that people are at home, they're not pleased with the new normal, and they don't have anyone they can blame, but just everything gets on your nerves. So there's an opportunity to strike out at each other. But it is one thing for us to accept or have to deal with when white people discount our positions, discount our truths. But when it is our own people, then it's doubly hurtful. And that's why we need to have an understanding of the mental health aspect and pray and get some help.
I understand that all the way. I understand that all the way. One thing I'm gonna add with you, and I agree with both sides, well, not both sides, but I agree with you both. Coming from a Black man's standpoint and just my view on it, it's heartbreaking to even contemplate how we got here. And then, like we talked earlier, the raising. Now, I was raised different than most. Uh, I was raised on a good level. I had a great father. Mother passed away at a very early age, young age that I was, and my father continued on the battle, remarried and kept the life going. Paused. He paused, but he didn't let my life pause, if that makes sense. And that's the beauty of having a good Black father in your home and growing up with one. Now, when you have that type of mindset, sometimes it can be hard to understand why you have a mindset that doesn't understand it, if that makes sense. Because you can't, in other words, if I've never seen that, then I'll never understand that. And that same thing you were saying, Marsha, if we don't understand that because we've never seen it. So what are we doing right now? This is how you start healing process. This is how you start understanding process, because you're hearing the opinions of people who have been through these type of situations, who have seen it, and then you're hearing someone who has knowledge of the background on it, and then you have someone who educated on it, on how to come out of it and have seen it and deal with it on a normal day basis. Now you're dealing with a Black man that does not deal with depression. I deal with oppression. I do not deal with mental health issues. Have I? Yes, especially with being married for 19 years. I don't care who you are. If you've been married for over 7 years, you got mental health problems. I promise you. I don't care who you are. Now, just y'all know it's nothing but love. It's nothing but love. It's nothing but love. She got him and I got him too. That's why we mentally healthy together right now. but I'm saying, to get through it though, we had to go to counseling just for that part of our lives, to understand that. uh, to get to where I'm at right now in this life, with my mom being gone for so many years, I never understood a woman. I was taught one way, and most women don't like that way when they find out the truth. But it is what it is. I was taught one way because I was taught nothing by men. My two older brothers, then all my uncles, everybody's older than me, and everybody's military. So you can imagine the way that I was taught was not gentleman taught, if you will. It was one track mindset. So when you're taught one track mindset, you have to go seek help, and you should not break another man down just because he doesn't know. That's my standpoint. And what do you have to say about Ms. Marsh?
So I'm glad that you acknowledge you may have a little cuckoo ticky ticky boom
Yeah.
boom going on. So thank you for
Hey,
that. But
hey,
I
nothing wrong.
got a little confused when you were telling part of your story. I thought you said your dad married right after that. Like, so you didn't connect with your bonus mom. I don't like the word step, but your bonus mom or your extra parent.
He did some years later. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
about
I do
five. I
apologize.
just I kind of put it all in one spell. But yeah.
Okay. So what has happened that I see in the 1970s or probably before then, that's when you start seeing black men transitioning away from their families. And Miss Addie, please let me know if I'm incorrect about those dates. But that's when you kind of notice the transition. So that's about 2 generations, 2 to 3 generations in there that fathers are not really in the home. They're like, oh, yeah, well, I got a dad, but he's not here on a day to day basis. And because of that, a lot of men now resemble female. And what I mean by that is they whine, they cry. And when you tell them, quit being old punk, they really get offended because they don't have that balance of a man and a female. They only have females and how women protect their sons. And another thing that I noticed maybe about 10 years ago, women braiding their children hair and keeping their hair braided, the boys and those type of things, that's going to have a mental health effect on them
Right.
because they're going to respond like a female to situations. And that's why I always encourage people, even if there's not a father in the home, reach out and ask somebody to help your son. Make sure that he's connected to where he can see strong men, how men respond to things, because he may have issues. I have a young man right now quit jobs all the time because he don't like nobody telling him what to do. But I believe if he had a father early on, he may not even have those issues now. And so I don't know exactly what Kanye has, but I know his mother raised him, but I don't think he ever spoke about his father because he needs some authority in his life. He needs a man that has going to have some long suffering, some patience with him to
Mm.
try to encourage him, hear what he's saying, but implement some things to kind of help him. Because he's right. Medication may not be helpful for him, but making sure he's on a good, healthy eating plan, making sure he's getting exercise, making sure he's taking time to help with the mania process or taking breaks when that happens, being aware of that. But just like having outbursts like he is and he's not never accountable, that's a problem. Are you really being helped? Are you really helping him by that? By him doing that, having, these outbursts and no, not being accountable to anybody. But unfortunately, I think he's in that time frame where a lot of these things have happened, where men are not there, and he may have male friends. However, I don't think he has somebody that's going to be accountable and say, boy, get yourself together. Let's get you some help, or help me understand clearly why you don't want to take your medicine, why you don't want to see a therapist or even a peer to peer. There's somebody who has had mental health issues and been successful to come in and assist you.
Mhm.
There's a lot of different programs that can assist him if somebody would just make them available to him, somebody he's going to listen to. And it's evident that's not his wife. I don't mean no disrespect, but I don't think he's going to listen to her. Maybe her mother.
You think Chris can tell him what to do?
No, but she can
Versus
be a
mom has
mom.
started.
Oh, but she could be a mom to him.
She
Like,
could be
I'm
a
not your
mom.
mom, but I'm here for you. Tell me how I can assist. Now she go in and be trying to, you better do this, this, and that. He probably blank on her, but if she go in and like, you married to my daughter, I love you, I want you to be successful. Tell me how to help you. She probably have some success with them.
Do we even have a background on his family?
I
Do you
have
think?
no idea. I know his mom, he started having these episodes or they got worse when his
Passed.
mom passed away. But
So
he was
that was
very arrogant before. He had a traumatic accident. I think his jaw was affected, but he was very arrogant before his mom passed away. But he got worse when he lost his mom, in my opinion.
mm, mm. history, history. Miss Addie, with the oppression,
Mhm.
mental health in comparison, how we come out of mental health with oppression. Are we saying it's the same, or are we saying it's slightly different, or what do you think from a history standpoint?
Mental health, oppression, and history. I didn't write the book, but there are many books that have been written about the relationship between long-term systemic racism and mental health. And we read more articles about it now with the disproportionate deaths of Blacks during COVID-19. And when you read the articles closely, it is far more than diabetes and high blood pressure and strokes and heart disease. They cite mental health changes, the changes in DNA as a result of generations of systemic racism, oppression, discrimination. And as I said last week, how can we avoid that? Because in every generation, in every decade, if you're Black in America, then you're going to experience, once you become of age, what it means to be different, what it means to not be enough for many people in America, to be respected and given first-class citizenship. That's why we are concerned when our polite, well-educated, religious, intelligent son walks out of the house. He does not represent who he is. He represents the stereotype that might get him killed. That's a mental health issue.
America itself.
So, Miss Addie, I do hear what you're saying. I'm wondering, are you talking about a generational, or are you talking about individual? Or are you saying both?
I'm saying both.
Okay.
It is, let's take hypertension.
Okay.
Not every Black person in America is hypertensive,
Mm-hmm.
but a whole lot of us are, because way back then, generations ago, some of our ancestors suffered from hypertension. And we inherited through genes, lifestyles, food intake, culture, some of those same behaviors, and therefore we have high blood pressure. And in your field, when you look at the number of young Black males in prison and their levels of depression, their levels of anxiety, and ADHD, and on and on and on, there is a relationship that unfortunately we inherit, and it becomes generational and endemic in our racial group.
Okay. So I hear what you're saying. But being aware and conscious and doing nothing with it does play a part too. Like if
Yeah.
you know your grandparents have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, but you're still eating a lot of unhealthy foods, then you have some accountability for that moving
Mhm.
forward. If you know that your family has a history of going to jail, and you don't implement anything to try to stop your children from going to jail, you're going to hold, it's going to be some consequences to that. So definitely I hear what you're saying about systemic racism. It's in our bloodline, but what are we going to do to stop it, to decrease it? We acknowledge it. Now we have to figure out some ways to put things in place, and we can't keep blaming the past so much. Well, it's because of slavery that uh, Kanye's like this, or it's because of slavery so many guys are ending up into jail, because in Raleigh alone, it's a very high gang problem there. Bloods,
Mhm.
Crips, and I'm bringing that up because it's fatherlessness. Fathers are not there to address issues, and because of their behavior, they keep going back to jail, and it's hard to reprogram them to figuring out you don't have to sell drugs, steal, or anything. You are worth more than this. You can be successful. Take that skill of being an entrepreneur and apply it somewhere else where you don't have to do that. I am not trying to downplay racism or slavery, because my family was affected. The KKK shot out my grandfather's windows. Him, my grandmother, and 10 children definitely had PTSD, definitely have been exposed to it. My father told me a story where he almost got shot because a white man was scared of him, because my dad was a big guy. But what I'm saying to you as well is those things are systemic and we need to address it. But what about a dad just taking time with his son and telling him about that, teaching him about patience, teaching him about dealing with things? You can't scream and holler or these type of things, or because you don't get your way. We have this issue. We come from slaves, but what can we do for the slaves to be proud of what we're accomplishing now, if that makes sense?
It does makes a lot of sense. It's one thing I've always said, and I always agree with, and I agree with you as well, is you have to go to the root to cut anything out.
Absolutely.
And in order to gain understanding, we got to understand where it come from first.
Hmm.
Because if when a lemon grows, just as, hypothetically a lemon tree, I'm not going to understand the seeds in a lemon tree. It's kind of funny how a fruit can actually grow with its own burst of what's inside of it. That's
Okay.
amazing to me. An apple grows, but it has a seed inside of it. How in the world does that work?
Mhm.
How can you phantom that? So, in order for our Black people to understand, and it's nothing, I don't downplay racism, none of that, but the key to it is, and what I believe is going back to the root and cutting that out before we can really dive in and get a real grip on what's going on. I think we need to understand where it stemmed from, so we can get that. Once we grip that, then we can say, wait a minute, now create programs like yours,
Mm.
the education that you have, like Miss Addie, what she puts out there. Create those programs based off coming out of that. And that is what we're doing right now for people who
Yeah.
are listening. You're giving all kind of blessing ideas, saying, yo, this is how you can do it. You can go see Miss Marsha McLean and
Yeah.
get educated on how to come out of it. You don't have to hold back. I'm a firm believer, and I know you put up gang members and drug dealers. Used to be not a gang member, used to be a drug dealer. here's one of the key things that I love about these kids that come with me that I mentor, that come to me with a drug
Mentality.
mentality. I
Hmm.
love them. You know why? Because their
Hmm.
math skills are so high.
Yes,
It's incredible. So instead of for me, I'm saying, yo, I'm not gonna turn you down. I need you to come in and
absolutely.
run my finances and help me run my finances, because your financing scheme is awesome. I'm loving it. So I'm not looking at you as a downplaying you and saying, yo, you're a disgrace to the earth because you sell dope. No,
Absolutely.
that was just that's the way you found the fast way to make money. Now let me teach you another way
Hmm.
of making that money in a better way. Maybe not as fast out the gate, but if you give yourself time,
Time. That's right.
it'll get there. But you got to understand where that come from first. You know what I'm saying?
And
That seed is planted,
and
and we
I
got to
do
get that.
hear I
Hmm.
do hear what you're saying, and maybe my perception, my thought is a little bit different because, like I said, I am aware of
That's
systemic
cool.
racism.
Hmm.
But I'm also aware as sometimes we use that as an excuse for
Crutch.
some of the as a crutch. That's exactly right. And my goal is to say we recognize these things are happening, but because of that, you're not even going to try to do anything. Or how can I help you see things a
Yeah,
little bit different so that even though this is happening to you, you can still build yourself up and see all the successes
I
that you
get.
can help while we fight this good fight and know,
Mhm.
and educate ourselves as well as other people about our ancestors that were slaves,
Mhm.
and how Jim Crow and all that played a part. And the reason I
Mhm.
bring up my dad is my grandfather moved. He was one of the first black men to move to a white town. And my dad, I think it was my dad and uncle wanting to play basketball, and a riot broke out. And it was just a mess because they wanted to be on the basketball team, and the coach said, I don't want all these black boys on the basketball team. And it just was a big old thing, and this was in the 70s. This was around 74 when this happened. So I do understand it, and 74 is not too long ago. And
No,
unfortunately, look at our president right now. He didn't even go to John Lewis's I don't know if it was
funeral.
his funeral or just to say some kind
I think it was a
words.
viewing. I think
It
it was
was
a
his
viewing. I know.
okay. And
Viewing.
I was like, look what we still are having to fight against. Where he didn't even think this man worthy, all the stuff that he did, he couldn't even say, you couldn't muster 2 or 3 words, or how Barack Obama, he was supposed to show his picture. I'm not showing his picture. Y'all do that the next time. These type of things that we're still dealing with. But I tell you this, even though I feel like it's very disgusting and sad, I'm going to keep educating myself and letting people know this is why you need to have information. This is why you need to educate yourself on everything that's going on so that you don't be blinded to it. You'll be aware of it.
Yeah, I believe that's. Between him and Barack, I try not to bring any. I don't invite Trump into my conversations.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're fine. You're good. I don't invite Barack neither. I don't invite
Yes,
nobody
I
political
understand.
in
No
my
politics. I
conversation.
get you. All right.
Yeah,
Apologize about that.
but anyway, since you're all right today, but
All
but
right.
next time I'll just mess with you, sis.
Okay.
But, but I do think I do believe, um, if we could go to the root of what Trump era
Well,
was and
okay.
cut,
Hmm.
we wouldn't have had that today. If
Hmm.
somebody would have went ahead and took that root and cut that root out,
Hmm.
I believe we would have that. We wouldn't have that today. Now we're here, so we might as well go ahead and start working on cutting that root out together, and
And who
then we
cuts
can
the root? Who, when you said we need to cut that, can you
need
give
you
me
people.
me? Okay.
Yeah, people like
Okay.
us, people like
Hmm.
that are educated, that are moving forward, that are really helping people out, that
Okay.
are really out there in the streets, really doing something positive. Changing the
Hmm.
mindsets of the
Okay.
individuals that are doing the opposite of what we see them, that their potential, opposite of their potential. I should say it like that.
Okay.
And we're actually going there fixing, like you said, continuously getting educated, continuously educating them as you continuously get educated. And you
Yes.
can do that by taking race relationship
Hmm.
course with Miss Addie Banks. And you can also get some more training from Miss Marsha McLean on how to get your act together. So I mean, we got a
Absolutely.
full circle, right? And then you come back to One Blood, get just a bit of love, get a little pep talk. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? To keep you going, keep you motivated.
Hmm.
To gain yourself in life. So uh, it's life. It doesn't have to be a terrible one. It can be a real genuine life if you allow it to be. That's what we're moving. What you got, Miss Eddie? You look like your eyebrows went up. I don't tweak that there.
You tried to read me. I am enjoying these comments because it is this kind of exchange that allows us to probe in and ask the questions that are going to get us closer to solutions.
Right.
How do we change? How do we understand better ourselves as a people? We learn our history. Miss Marsha, I have a podcast called KNOW, Black History on Patreon. And it is teaching every day a new lesson on our history. This month, every day has focused on our patriotism and our service in the military. When we understand who we are, then we will know and feel proud of who we came from. Just like the stories you tell of your father and your grandfather. There's so many of those overcomer stories that our young people may not be hearing. So that's number one. Learn who we are and stop accepting what some people want to tell you about who we are. The second thing is the race relations. Thank you very much. I have a Udemy.com race relations course. And I will simply say, we have to learn some race relations fundamentals. It is more than just teaching fathers how to be fathers. We have to understand why groups don't get along. So you can have, and I do not discount, I think one of the major problems for Black people is not having that father in the home and not having the authority, as you mentioned, and not having examples of that strength and authority. So yeah, we really do need to make improvements in the area of family. And it starts with that bond of love and respect.
So I provided some books. I didn't know if I had permission to post them. So I provided some books. And I think one book, Miss Addie, that you may like is called Post-Traumatic Slavery Syndrome by Dr. Joy. You may have read it before. I think it's DeGrey, Dagrey. That's a really good book. And that's a book that I utilize a lot when I'm dealing with trauma, especially generational trauma, and explaining information. I think we just have a different view. Like I said, I believe that we have to go backwards, but I also believe while we're going backwards and building a foundation just to kind of continue to build on it. Like for instance, me, I don't have issues with other races. I am aware that they may have them with me. However, I think because of how I'm trained, I still keep pushing forward. But I recognize everybody does not have my training, and they are definitely going to benefit from your classes to understand, why did this happen? Like, for instance, I don't know if a lot of people are aware when slaves came over, and please correct me if I'm wrong, they went to Jamaica and was seasoned. The men were sexually assaulted there, violated, and then sent to work in the fields. And it was, I'm sorry?
Say sin again. I got the message.
Season, not sin, seasoning. That's what they call it. Check out seasoning plants in Jamaica.
No, I thought you said scent, song. I thought you said
You know, I
song.
got that little country swang. I can't help it. But seasoning, you know,
I had the message.
like Larry seasoning salt. But it was plantations where Black slaves were assaulted, especially if they felt like you were going to help people rise up and resist slavery. They violated you. And then, not just once, several times. And then they sent you in the fields. A lot of people are not aware of that happened. A lot of people are not aware that women were having children at 11, 12, and 13, all these type of things. So you need to know your history, and you need to know why was this happening, or how, because I know sometimes I get sad because I'm like, you rape 11, 12-year-old, and today it would be rape. You have a baby with, and then take the baby because it's part of you and have her in the house. You know, feeling like you're kind of doing the right thing. So you need to kind of know that information. You need to know about also, like, for instance, how money is different, affected differently in the Black community. And because the more information you have, I think the better off you will be when you're making decisions, how you respond to things, if that makes sense. So I completely agree with you, Miss Addie. The point is what I'm saying.
Thank you.
All
And
right.
those are excellent points.
Okay.
Excellent.
And I did post them into the
You
Facebook
did,
Live.
thank you. But that, out of all those 3 books, if you need to learn about the slavery and mental health, that post-traumatic slavery syndrome is a good book. But another one, if
It
you
is.
want to know something specifically about, like, Kanye West, look up the book called Bipolar Faith by Monica Coleman, you know, so you can kind of understand what they're talking about, because these people are not faking. They really have a disorder, you know, that they're dealing with. And not only them, but their family have to deal with this.
Oh
And then
my.
can you imagine the little kids? Sometimes little kids internalize them, like, what did I do to daddy? Why is he acting like this? And if nobody is in there to kind of encourage them and coach them, they can have a lifelong effect from the bipolar.
Yeah.
So just
I
kind of
think
be
that's
mindful
why
of that
there
when
are
you're attacking people or making them feel bad. Ma'am?
I think that's why there are family groups that support the subject.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's very important that families have an opportunity to bond and discuss what they're experiencing
Mhm.
so that they can get the support that they need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I know when I started out, education was one thing that wasn't popular in my family, as well as, like, going to church wasn't popular. You know, I didn't go to church when I was little. I only say that because it was something that I needed. So my parents gave me what all they had, but then it became my responsibility to get more information. I could have stayed and, like, well, this is all I need to know. Or you could say, you know what, it's so much information out there, and can I apply what my mom and dad taught me with some other things where I can be a greater help to other people?
And so
Absolutely.
much you are right now.
Mhm.
Look how many people you done helped out. You and
Oh, well,
Miss Ed
thank
out there
you.
helping folks. Yeah. That's what it's all about, conversation.
That's right.
Enjoying it. Yeah, getting it out there. It doesn't matter. I've always thought this way. It doesn't matter if you disagree.
That's
Uh,
right.
as long as you have a conversation in an
Hmm.
adult manner.
Hmm.
You know, like I said, I've been married for many, many years, and about, I think I was telling Miss Addie this, about probably 5, 6 years ago. I told my wife, I said, "Well, no, I'm not arguing anymore. I just can't. I don't see the point. You get nothing out of the argument. So
Yeah.
getting mad at Kanye and throwing temper tantrum on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and arguing with him, what's on the other side of the equal sign?
Hmm.
There's nothing there. There's no understanding. There's no ground being met. There's no foundation that you can build on, because everything was built out of anger or set out of anger.
Yeah.
So we finally made a commitment to each other. Say, yo, conversate instead of just throwing shots, is what they're saying now. Throwing shots, and I believe that's To me, you now you said it, Miss Marsha. That's a punk mode to me. I'm big on that. That's a punk mode to me when you throwing shots and you're on a TV screen.
Mhm.
You feel what I'm saying? You're on a
Yes.
text. You're not in front of me throwing those shots. I'm a man, so
Mhm.
you got shots to throw. You got your hand up, sister. Go ahead, and you about to walk out of church.
No,
You got that walk?
I got my church hand. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was letting you know I wanted to say something, you know.
Go ahead.
So, so most of the time it's easier to respond during a text because for whatever reason, because that person is not in your face, you have more confidence.
Mhm,
So I
mhm.
always
Yeah.
ask people, leave that text alone for a moment, go walk away, do something else, and come back and really read it and see if it's worth the reaction that that person's going to have. Because you may have a win for a moment, but then really mess up a relationship for a long period of time. And is
Mhm.
it worth it?
Absolutely.
So kind of be careful with that. And I also encourage people, sometimes you have to do a detox from social media, from your phone, and it's okay. Do it maybe once a month or so. Take a 2 or 3 days off
Yeah.
from the phone and see and get you a detox, because sometimes things that happen online you start thinking is realistic and it's not. It's TV.
Mhm.
Even like the what is it, those TV shows that they're, even those are scripted, those fake ones, you know, the Real House, it's scripted, you know, that's not real life. And
Reality
you
show.
got to have some wisdom with that, you know. I understand you want to enjoy some things, but just kind of be careful. And if this COVID-19 has caused you to be impaired where you're just lashing out, you need help, come talk to me. You need help,
Where
you
they gonna
know.
come talk? Where they gonna come see you at?
They can definitely see me. They could definitely see me online. I do a lot of telehealth, and you can reach out to me through reviveTS.com. You could definitely reach out to me that way. But come talk to me. Talk to somebody. Get you a bike. I know I had to get a bike after 25 years. I had to get one of them older women bike with a big old seat. But I got that bike and I jumped on that thing, and I tell you, it saved me a lot. And also, I got develop a little thing. I ain't gonna say I got a green thumb, but got me some plants. Get you some stuff to make you happy, because when you happy, you have happiness to give. When you're angry and frustrated, that's all you have to give. Okay,
Yep.
so let's suck that anger out and put some happiness in it. All right, come see me now.
All right,
I love it. I love it. I
I'm
love it. I
on
love
the
it.
way.
That's how we do it. Mhm. Before I close out, Miss Annie, do you want to give your you want to give your social media and where they can contact you before we close it out?
Well, I've already shared udemy.com for the race relations course, and Know Black History at patreon.com. I am excited because August will be the Black National Black Business Month.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Mhm.
every day we will have posts about early Black businesses.
Okay.
That is love. That is love. Miss Marsha, would you give your yours as well?
Absolutely. So I put it in the chat, but I don't know if it'll go to the Facebook or not. You can follow
I'm
me
putting
at
it in there.
Okay, you can
Mhm.
follow me at on Instagram at Your Professional Sister. I'm actually also a speaker as well as a therapist, and I speak for like women's summits. You know, I like, my tagline is I'm funny but I'm serious. I just make mental health a little bit more easy, a little bit more
Right.
easy to digest. Okay, so please feel free to reach out to me if I could be of assistance. Let me know. I have a lot of different resources in the North Carolina area for mental health, substance abuse, as well as couples. I don't do couples, I only do premarital. But like if you got that 19-year thing going on, I have to refer you out. But I will
Ain't
make
no
sure you
help.
get to the best
Ain't,
person, okay? So
ain't no,
that is my information, and look for it in the chat.
well, when you get somebody that's been married long, call me.
Yeah,
Call me.
yeah, okay, yeah. Don't call
We'll
me.
work it
Don't
out.
call me. Don't call me. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, my goodness. I love it, man. I really appreciate you all both being on the show and doing such an amazing job of explaining the mental health and oppression in from a historical standpoint and from a clinical standpoint. This is what I really wanted to get across, family, is the simple fact that we might not agree on 100% of everything that we discuss, but at least we had the discussion. At least we had a
Mhm.
conversation. So I always like to say, chew up the meat and spit out the bones. You take what you can use and you benefit from it. You start building your foundation off of that. And whatever you don't agree at, that's the bones. You spit that out. And what you do agree with, that's your meat. That's what you hold on to. So go through life and enjoy types of conversations like this. These shows will continue. I am going to a podcast 5-day very shortly here. I'll be coming on Facebook and I will be going to podcast only. Did you want to say something, Is that? Are you raising your hand too? Or
No,
you clapping?
no.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So in other words, I want to continue to educate not just our people. Y'all know I'm one blood. I'm full of unity. I believe in unifying people all back to understand that we all are God's children, one human race. So I don't believe in leaving anyone out. I don't care what race or gender or where you come from. What I care about is the love that you need and the love that I can share and spread across this world. That's what I care about the most. And on top of that, still, even in your group as Black men, no more kicking brothers down because we are the leaders. When Christ came in, he brought 12. He picked up 12 guys. When he picked up them 12 men, he reset civilization with 12 men. He didn't do it with 12 women. So I don't knock women. I love them. And I do not knock them at all. But the leaders are the men, even though we're helped along the way with our helpmates. But the leadership is in the man. So don't kick another man down just for your comfort level or to boost yourself up. Boost him up, get him back to his level. Guide him to a woman who knows more than he knows. Guide him to a man that knows more than he knows. Guide him to someone that can help him. I always leave with this: if each individual does the individual job, that is what will make a team. Y'all be blessed, be safe, man. I love you. We'll see you next Tuesday. And just keep in mind, we are one blood. We're not one blood, but Fred Foreman Sr. Has to separate from one blood. That's a challenge. I've been one blood for so long now. Now it's a different entity. So I have to separate myself from that. So it will be Fred Foreman Sr.'s podcast, and we'll be going out shortly here, and it'll be 5 days a week. We'll have some good conversations. I know you probably love this one. Be the one on Thursday. Gonna be Love Making Thursday. So all you little people that love sex, amen. Praise God to you. I'm not mad with you. So we're gonna talk about this thing. We're gonna put it out there, and we're gonna bring a lot of love back into this world, man. That's what it needs right now. A lot of love, a lot of love, a lot of love. Y'all be blessed, be safe. I love you. I'm gonna cut this out. Anything else? Nighty night. Y'all be safe, man. I love you guys.